Hey everybody, I'm Mr. Bishop, and for those of you who don't know me, I teach fourth and fifth grade at Jefferson Elementary. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what I'm going to be doing every Monday for Jefferson. So I do a program called the Words of Wisdom. And in that program, every month, I'll introduce a new word. And then every week on Mondays, I'll send out videos all about that word. So I'll tell you what the word means. I'll read some stories about the word or share some experiences about the word, talk to some of you guys about the word. And the reason for that is these words are powerful and important words that can really help us through our journey of life. And I know that that sounds cheesy and corny, but it's really true. And so let's just launch right into it for the day. So the word that I have for September is perseverance. It's a really big, really important word. So if you look at my screen here, it's spelled in kind of an interesting way, but it's perseverance. So that's the act or power of continuing to do something in spite of difficulties. Let me say that in a different way. It's the act or power of continuing to do something even when there are difficulties. So when you have perseverance or when you persevere, you are charging through and you're continuing on with something even when times are difficult. So this is a big thing right now because everyone, to some extent, is having to persevere. You are having to persevere right now. I'm having to persevere. Everyone at Jefferson is having to persevere. Students and teachers, uh, people that work in hospitals, people that are working to fight the wildfires, everyone is persevering in some way right now. And so I think that's something that's important to keep in mind is this is sort of a universal thing. We're all having to persevere, and it's really important that we all do our best to persevere to the best that we can. So I think one of the best ways is to get into this word is to actually read you a story. So I'm going to read you guys a story called The Great Hill. This story doesn't have any pictures, but it's actually a good thing sometimes because you get to use your imagination. So I'm going to jump in and start reading, and then we'll talk about it a little bit afterwards. So here we go. The Great Hill by Daniel Erico. Before time was time, there was a great hill, and on the great hill there lived the Yolks. The Yolks spend their entire lives climbing the great hill, trying to reach the top. Some Yolks climbed fast. Some Yolks climbed slowly. One Yolk in particular was a very slow climber. He was different than the rest of the Yolks. When he climbed, all the other Yolks passed him. It was hard for him to watch them pass by. He felt like the worst climber in the world. Some Yolks made fun of him as they passed. Others didn't. Some Yolks wanted to help him climb, but he didn't let them. It was hard for him to climb. It was even harder when it rained because the ground got slippery. Sometimes it seemed like it was only raining on him, but it wasn't. There were times when he felt like he wasn't moving at all, but he was. Then one day he met another Yolk who climbed even slower than he did. He helped the slower Yolk climb. Thank you, said the slower Yolk. You're welcome, said the slow Yolk. I can't be of much help to anyone else since I climb so slowly. Slowly? Asked the slower Yolk. Well, yes, I watch other Yolks pass me all the time. I do not know if you are slow or fast, but I do know that you helped me and that you are still climbing. The slow Yolk said goodbye to the slower Yolk and he kept climbing. Still climbing, he thought to himself. That is true. And he smiled. So the Yolk kept climbing. He climbed when it was nice out. He climbed when it rained. And he even climbed when it snowed. As he kept climbing, he got better and better. Sometimes he would pass other Yolks, and sometimes they would pass him. He had stopped paying attention. He also noticed that some Yolks were no longer climbing. When a Yolk stops climbing, it stays where it is. Some Yolks stop climbing because they are happy with how far they have gone. Others stop climbing because they don't want to climb anymore. The Yolks that had stopped climbing did not like to be passed, and they made it harder to get by. But the Yolk kept climbing right over them. There were still times when the yoke thought he was climbing an impossible hill, but he kept climbing, always, always climbing. Do you think he made the top? That's the end. Now, I love this story for a few different reasons. One of the first reasons is because of how it really gets to the heart of what perseverance is that even when things seem really, really hard, you have to keep going. You have to keep pushing yourself. When you stop, then you're just kind of done. And you see other people kind of continue to climb, and you go, oh, like maybe I could get to that point. But a lot of the time, it's hard to keep motivating yourself. But you have to try, and you have to try to persevere. The second reason I really, really like this story is because it teaches about this concept that in life, sometimes we compare ourselves to other people. We think, oh, they're better than me at this, or they're not as good at me at than they're not as good as I am at this thing, or they are smarter than me, or are they as smart as me? Or we're constantly comparing. We're constantly thinking, where are they in comparison to where I'm at? But what this story is about is that this yoke at some point realized I just need to go at my own pace. If I'm going to persevere, I've got to persevere at my own pace. I can't persevere at a super, super fast pace like these other people are going. And that's okay. We all are going to go at our own pace, right? Everyone is experiencing this coronavirus stuff at a different level. We're all feeling different ways about it. We're all persevering in different ways. But what I want you guys to keep in mind is that that's okay. And whatever pace you have to go at, whatever you're feeling, that's fine. Just keep on going. I really like this section here. As he kept climbing, he got better and better because that's what happens when you persevere and keep going. Sometimes he would pass other yokes, great. And sometimes they would pass him, great. He had stopped paying attention. So when you find yourself not paying attention to what everyone else is doing and how good or how bad they are compared to you, that is a wonderful feeling. And I hope that you all are either there already or get there. The last thing that I wanted to mention for why I really like this story is because at that one point where the slow yoke, the slower yoke showed up, he didn't compare himself then. He wasn't rude to him. He didn't judge him. He just said, you know what? I'm going to help this slower yoke. And that kindness is huge. And so I want you to think about that in your own life, right? If you know that there's a classmate that you're with that's struggling, help them out. If you have a brother or sister that's struggling with school or something else that's happening at home, try to help them out. Just in the same way that I would want you to get help, right? You got to try to help other people too in these situations because, as we're persevering, it's mainly an independent thing. We're working with ourselves on it, but we socialize. We're social animals, so we help each other along the way to get better and better and better. So that's our first day for perseverance. I'll stop there, but we'll join up again together next Monday and I'll continue talking about this word. So I always end my words of wisdom in the same way each time, and that is with this. With something to think about, this is Mr. Bishop. Make it a great day or not, the choice is yours.